Welcome everyone to the Parkinson's Foundation's Mindfulness Monday. My name is Crista Ellis. I'm a community program manager with the Parkinson's Foundation. I'm based just about an hour north of Tampa, Florida. I'm in a small town called Inverness. So in the chat, let us know where you guys are tuning in from. I know that we have some representation from many corners of the world today. So if you just flood the chat with where you're tuning in from so we can see where you guys are. I'd love to see that. We've got someone joining us from Arizona. Welcome, Judy. Colorado, upstate New York, California, Ohio, Sarasota, Kansas City, Houston, New Jersey, Toronto. Welcome. Welcome, Dee. Boston, welcome Gil, Texas, Rochester, New York, Minnesota. Good morning from California. Thanks, Charlie. Phil's not writing in there, but good evening to Phil in France. There you are. Asheville, North Carolina. Welcome, Andre. Hello from Chicago. Welcome, Kieran from Texas. Welcome, Chris from Florida. Another Texas. Welcome from Chicago, Brendan. Hi, Annette from Ohio, Connecticut, Colorado. Beautiful. So you can see that our community of people with Parkinson's spans across the country, across the seas, and across time zones. So it's really beautiful to see the spread of our community uniting at this moment with mindfulness. So the next Mindfulness Monday will be next Monday with Jacqueline Fitch. If you guys remember, she joined us in February, right on Valentine's Day. She offered such a sensational program. So she'll be coming back this coming Monday. So make sure you mark your calendar. This Wednesday, April 6th, expert briefing. Can we put the brakes on PD progression? And on Fitness Fridays, every Friday we release a new YouTube video targeting different areas of the body for people with Parkinson's to explore movement and mobility. The next live session will be on April 22nd. So you can find out more about our PD Health at Home programming at parkinson.org/PD Health. We want to thank our sponsor, the Light of Day Foundation, for their generosity. Because of our sponsors and our donors, we are able to provide free programming, education, and empowerment sessions for their generosity. So thank you, Light of Day Foundation. And if you're new to Parkinson's disease, the Parkinson's Foundation does have all the things that you need to live better with Parkinson's. You can start your learning journey with parkinson.org. Yes, Judy, I see that applause. Parkinson.org. We also have our helpline, 1-800-4PD-INFO. If you prefer to email or write, helpline@parkinson.org. And just a shout out to my school of training. Today's topic was inspired by my mentor, School of Positive Transformation. So we will be going over some things that he offered me in my training. So today, you know that we live in a fast-paced society, right? More is better, faster is better, and it creates a feeling as if life is some kind of marathon. Might have had a little bit of an experience of a marathon coming to today's session, either finding that Zoom link or getting home to get on the internet to tap into today's session. So before we dive into kind of the meat and potatoes of our discussion today, let's just take a moment to get centered. So wherever you are, however you're seated, just find some place that's comfortable. We're just going to take a few breaths for about a minute so that we can just kind of welcome ourselves into this space. And eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels okay to you. Deep breath in. Open the mouth, let it go. Another deep breath in. And maybe purse the lips like you were blowing through a straw and blow it out. And we'll do that again. Deep breath in. Beautiful. So as I mentioned, we do live in a fast-paced society. More is better, faster is better. And it creates this feeling as if life is some kind of marathon. We need to run and achieve more and more. And this is especially relevant in those of us who live in the Western side of the world, where this kind of model of life is being held as almost the obvious way of living. And if we're living with Parkinson's, this model of life to do more, to be more, can feel especially overwhelming. Even if it's not relevant to you personally, a lot of your friends, your family members, neighbors, peers may be going through this kind of experience of stress and pressure and anxiety, participating in this marathon to achieve more, to do more, and to be more. From a psychological point of view, what we need to understand is that all of these activities, they pile up, and we don't really have time to digest and process our experiences. This marathon lifestyle starts to build and layer upon layer upon layer of stuff. We move from one thing to another without really processing that former experience. And whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we can see that or not, that we're running from one thing to another, because a lot of it is running on an unconscious level, it is within us, and that can cause a great feeling of discomfort, especially when we're living with Parkinson's disease. For most of us, this discomfort manifests as stress and anxiety. So if you're still in the professional world of your career, a lot of this buildup of task upon task upon task, project deadlines, things to do, people to meet, places to go, stress, right? Family matters, stress. It can create this very emotional and cognitive overload. With Parkinson's disease, we know that cognition changes may happen in our progression through Parkinson's. So this marathon lifestyle is not beneficial to our journey through Parkinson's disease. I'm going to give you some tips on how we can kind of shift out of that. Because we have this overload of stuff that we deal with beyond what we can really process, it can make us feel uncomfortable emotionally. Okay, so in the heart space and the head space and cognitively. This is why we call it the emotional and cognitive overload. Now, when it comes to research, what we see is that this emotional cognitive overload, it has a huge impact on our psychological experience of the world. So how we perceive things. It makes it more difficult for us to think creatively, to plan, to organize, to innovate, to solve problems, to make decisions. These things that all fall under the umbrella of changes we might experience in Parkinson's. Learning new things becomes difficult. Speaking fluently becomes difficult. Remembering important information, we can't. Our entire cognitive system collapses because we are overloaded with information. And you might empathize with that description at certain points of your life where you're juggling too many balls and you feel, oh my gosh. And then you've got this psychological impact that I was describing where it's hard to remember stuff. The car keys, for instance, where you left your pill box. And you feel these words disappear from your mind. So the name of a good friend that you've known for a while or somebody that you recently met. You just can't seem to recall or remember, or it's not there on the tip of your tongue. And the impact is very powerful and can be really uncomfortable sometimes. So I'm describing all of that because the way I think about it, meditation is the answer to that emotional and cognitive overload. If you didn't guess it, I'm surprised. I mean, the mind is in theory capable of dealing and processing these different experiences, these different balls that we're juggling. We're capable of multitasking, right? It's just that the intensity of the juggling and the pace of the juggling and the fact that we don't get any break from the juggling, that's what creates this feeling of overloaded. That's what creates the accumulation. So more and more stuff, and the fact that we can't process anymore and we feel uncomfortable. We get stuck. And in Parkinson's disease, quite literally can get stuck, right? When you're walking. If we had the option of taking a step back, breathing, everyone take a deep breath in, relaxing, and then getting back to the game, back to the juggle, back to the activity, everything would be fine, right? It's the same as pretty much any machine. When you think about how a machine runs, if it runs for too long, it would heat up and it would break and fail at some point. If you turn that machine off, let it rest for a while, and then turn it on again, it would function properly, right? How many times has somebody said, well, have you tried turning it on and off? And you turn it on and off and on, and your phone works, your camera works, it works, right? So the same applies to us, to our minds and to our bodies and to our hearts. Nothing can overwork without at some point breaking down. And this is a very interesting point because your body and your mind are constantly trying to communicate with you. That little voice that you always hear, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. That voice you hear when you're laying down, you can't seem to turn it off. Our body speaks to us and it's whispering, hey, something isn't right. Too much is going on, or what you're involved with, it's beyond what you can deal with. Processing an experience, processing an emotion, processing a task completed or a task to do. And we frequently do not hear our body and our mind trying to communicate with us. So the body or the mind will start speaking more loudly, and still we don't hear them. A great example of this is when you have a tremor in your Parkinson's disease and you feel stressed or there's too much going on, or you're in a public space where a lot of people and you're nervous about your balance, you can start to induce a quicker tremor. So this is a very real example of how stress and stimulation overload affects our body physically. If perhaps you're not listening to your body and we ignore them, our body and our mind can start to scream. And at some point, when our bodies start to scream, something breaks. Something happens in the body, some kind of ailment, some pain in the shoulders or the back, the low back, the feet, the jaw, right? A lot of us might grind our teeth. Something falls out of place or completely stops functioning. The same is for the mind on a psychological level. So a breaking would mean perhaps feeling some level of depression or sadness, or crashing into bed and without having the strength and capacity to get out of bed for a whole day. Another form is, eating really unhealthy food because it's comforting to us. So crashing, stopping functioning. And frequently it is the result of that accumulation that we don't attend to, caused by stress and anxiety and this feeling of needing to do more. We don't let that stress vent or release, and it accumulates to a point where there's great discomfort physically or emotionally. So what meditation offers us is this whole story. In this whole story is simply that experience of a break. All need a break, right? Taking a step back to breathe, to relax, and then going back to that task or activity. This is another good example of, say you're like in a boxing class for Parkinson's disease, or you're in a support group for your loved one who has Parkinson's disease. And sometimes you just need a break. You need a moment before you hit that bag, or you need a moment before you take your turn to share your story in the support group meeting. You need a break. It's the same thing with your breath. If you think about your breath, you can't just inhale, right? If you just inhale, there has to be an exhale. And it's the same for the exhale. You can't just exhale, you have to inhale. If you create a healthy balance between these two, an inhale and an exhale, you have this wonderful experience, this wonderful natural experience of life. It's balance, right? And then that metaphor can be applied to being productive or overly productive, and then balancing it with the appropriate time and space to rest and process our experience and our emotion. Now, some people meditate for 60 minutes a day, others for 30 minutes or 10 minutes. All those options are great, but sometimes, like most of us, it's not possible. I can't sit for 60 minutes in a meditation. It's hard enough to do 20, 10 minutes possibly. But that little break can be so beneficial. Just that little break, a brief moment to process. If you dedicate a single minute, 1 minute, like 60 seconds of taking a break, not just once, but a number of times a day, you could feel this positive impact. So if during the day where there's a lot of activity, a lot of things happening. Identify the moment where a lot is happening. I can't take it anymore. Step back just for 1 minute, 60 seconds, and then go back to the activity. So what we're going to do now is we're going to learn about the 1 minute meditation so that you could practice it and see what influence it has on your life. Excuse me. So the 1 minute meditation can be a transformative process. If you practice it regularly enough, I know many of you are returning, but this is still stuff that we forget to do. And if it's new to you, this is where you can start your mindful meditation journey with Parkinson's. If you practice a 1 minute meditation regularly enough, you get to a point where you don't really think about it. You learn to recognize when stuff has accumulated and you need a little break. You close your eyes, you move into that 1 minute of relaxation, letting go, and then back to the activity or the thoughts, the decisions that you have to make. This meditation can have 3 segments, each segment about 20 seconds. I was practicing it earlier this morning and I found myself doing it a lot longer than 1 minute. I guess my body and mind just needed a little bit more time, which can naturally happen when you start to cultivate this 1 minute meditation practice multiple times through the day. So the different segments. The first is the posture, and then there's breath awareness followed by body awareness, which is very important for people living with Parkinson's. So first we start with the posture. Posture is supposed to create an invitation for the body to relax. So you could be seated, could be lying down, because if you're in the activity, a lot has been going on, you'll accumulate stress and the body will respond by bracing and tensing. So you notice when you have a lot to do or there's just so much going on, the body naturally starts to hold itself. Lots of tension in the shoulders, can be holding the belly so that the breath is shallow. The breath could maybe not reach the entire volume of your lungs. Holding the jaw, furrowing the brow. We hold a lot of stress in our faces. I see everyone moving their faces around. It's great. Do some face yoga. So thinking about your posture. Shoulders, back, neck, jaw. So the first thing you want to do in your 20 seconds is to feel, just let the body go supple. Nice softness in the body. You can straighten your back, your neck, jaw parallel to the floor, shoulders relax, open chest. Just let everything soften. And that is the beginning of the 1 minute meditation. It's an opening of the body, an invitation for the body to settle. And it creates space into which the breath awareness and the body awareness can move into and work. So when you're in that state of stress and tense and you're just holding the body, it's very difficult to be aware of the breath and aware of what your body's feeling like. So first 20 seconds, relax. Notice what's happening to your body. And then we move into the second segment, which is what we started with, breath awareness. You take a number of deep inhales and exhales and follow your breath. You come in touch with the inhale as it comes in through your nostrils and the exhale as it leaves your body. This creates a focal point, something that you can focus on that pulls your mind away from whatever you were dealing with. That grocery list, that doctor's appointment, that diagnosis of Parkinson's, you just left that doctor's office. Take a moment, take a minute. And we call this time and time again our mindful pausing. Taking a step back from that because the mind can be really obsessive with activity. But we move into our breath. You give your mind a break from thinking about and having to deal and process and engaging with that activity that can be stressful for us. So the breath is the focal point for the next 20 seconds. And then the final 20 seconds is body awareness. And I alluded to the importance of this in Parkinson's disease because our Parkinson's disease affects the physical body and the mind. So when we take a moment to scan the body, from the top of your head to the bottom of your spine, all the way to your toes, and then back up from your toes, all the way to the bottom of your spine, to the top of your head, can start to create this awareness of what's happening in your body. How's your tremor reacting right now? Is it slowing down when you take that moment of pause? Are you able to take that step forward when you find yourself freezing in an episode of freezing? So that's the 3 things. The first one is your posture. The second is your breath awareness. And the third is your body awareness. Now, at the beginning, you might need to think a little bit about the meditation. So, those three things that I just laid out, and prepare for it, right? That's okay. We have to start somewhere. You're never perfect at anything when you first start. But as time goes by, there'll be less of a thinking process. You'll know exactly the sequence, you'll know exactly what you need to do. Just close your eyes, move into that 1 minute experience, and swiftly move back to your activity that you need to complete. And if you do it regularly, you'll find very interesting changes in your life. So now we're actually going to practice our 1 minute meditation. Let me see, what's our time at? Okay. Let me pull my timer up. Okay, so what's the first thing that we do? Posture. Yes. So find something that is suitable for relaxation in your body. Good. Shoulders back and away from the neck. We tend to crowd the neck and the lungs with our shoulders. Good. Heart lifts up. Good. A little softness in the jaw. See if you can release the tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Good. Second step. Breath awareness. Just a few deep breaths in and a few breaths out. Good. Let's count 5. You guys go at your own pace. And as you complete that 5th deep breath, start to feel your body, top of the head. Let your awareness move down to the bottom of your spine, right at your sacrum. And noticing what's happening from your sacrum all the way to the toes. And then reverse. And the feet all the way up the legs to your sit bones. Just notice what's happening in the bottom half of your body. Still breathing. And then bringing that awareness up through the belly, the back side of the ribs, the front of the chest, the shoulders, neck, head, and then the crown of your head. And feel that shift, just that shift of energy in your body, shift of symptoms perhaps. Okay. And there's your minute. So if we can practice our minute meditation multiple times a day, and I personally need to do it more often because I've probably taken about 5 of these minute meditations and I'm only halfway through my day. But sometimes we need those reminders to take a break because when we're overstimulated with thinking too much, there's too much going on, we can lose production. We can lose creativity. We can lose our cognitive capacity to make decisions for ourselves. And we know that in Parkinson's disease, sometimes we need a few more of those breaks because there are changes in our body, there are changes in our brains. And those breaks can allow us to move forward in a less impacted way that's influenced by stress and anxiety. So Jennifer's opened up the chat for us, and I want you guys to tell me how you're going to use your 1 minute meditation over the week. You see people writing in. Give it just a minute. Yeah. Well, we're going to do it before a work meeting. It's perfect. Twice a day. Yes. It's something. So I think sometimes when we have, say, moments, you're walking into your doctor's appointment, taking a moment to breathe before that doctor comes in. That's great. I just got a message that said I've been doing meditation every day. That's perfect. Oh, this is such a applicable suggestion, Paul, is driving and you are taking a moment of rest, right? So you stop off the highway, you go to the rest area, even at stoplights, just taking a few moments to pause and reconnect with your body. When I'm stressed, absolutely. Yes, that's very, very applicable here. Perfect. So I have some homework and I want you guys to really try using this method throughout the day. Um, I know that the Parkinson's Foundation has recently returned to in-person programming. And so our staff is just hustling. We're so engaged and excited to be back in person with folks. And if I've seen you guys at recent programs, so excited that you guys connect with me here. But when we prepare for these events, there's often a lot of necessary time for these moments of mindful pausing. So moving from one thing to the next before you enter that next phase. So from work to driving home, take a moment. From driving home to your exercise class, take a moment. It can really influence how you perceive your moments shared. When making travel plans or any kind of phone calls, when I freeze, yeah. Yes, Brendan. I know that this works for freezing, so try it and let me know. Okay, so next Monday, of course, Jacqueline Fitch is joining us, so I will see each of you for next Monday. She's just an absolute sensation, so I'm really looking forward to her program next Monday. And I'm going to ask how you guys applied your 1-minute meditations through the week. By the way, if you didn't know already, April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. So do what you can to advocate for yourselves, spread awareness about Parkinson's disease. Now is the time. Share Parkinson's Foundation resources. We have all kinds of stuff online to share with your networks. Lots of things, fun things happening. So, all right, y'all. I will see you soon. Happy Monday.